gentlemen, good evening once again. Welcome on this Monday, celebrating Carnival down here in South America. Welcome to Quantum Leap Television. My name is Johnny Guzman. And as always, we're here with our friend Santos Bonacci from Australia. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. I'm saying in just a few seconds. I'm confusing the English with the Spanish, Santos. But we have a great show for you today. As I mentioned before, down here in most South America, with the exception of Colombia, we're celebrating Carnival, which is a very interesting pagan holiday. But we'll get into all that in just a few minutes. I'd like to give a big welcome to our friend Santos Bonacci. How you doing, Santos?
Oh, very well, thank you, Johnny. Very well.
Good, good. So I was telling our audience that today, Monday, it's a holiday weekend, right? So Monday and Tuesday, it's a holiday. So people have been celebrating since Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's Carnival, which is a traditional holiday down here, as I'm sure you're aware of in Brazil. It's a huge party atmosphere during these times of Carnival. They have, parades is something similar to the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Do they celebrate Carnival in Australia, Santos?
Oh yeah. We have the big Mardi Gras. You know that.
Okay.
Carnival. It all comes from the same stuff. Carnival, festival, anything with that AL or EL sound is to the gods. You see. Angel, Israel, Carnival, festival to the god. So these are the days when the sun now is climbing up. He's climbing up from the winter. And so they celebrate the lengthening of the days. You see, Lent has begun.
Okay.
The end of February brings Lent, because the sun's rays now are lengthening, and the days are lengthening. Every day from now on gets longer.
Okay, so I want before we get into the nitty gritty here, I have a theory about this Carnival, but I want you to first tell me what you know about this. What will we call him? God, ancient entity, Baal. What is Baal? Because we always see this name appear in especially in the Exorcist movies from Hollywood, right? They always say, Baal, get out of the spirit, get out of the body, and they refer to the devil as Baal. So can you tell us a little bit about this entity, or what is Baal?
All right, Baal is Saturn, but also the sun, okay? And by extension again, a third extension, any one of the Elohim, the Al, you see. Now, let's go back to that word Carnival. In Spanish, you've got carne and you've got al at the end of it. Now, when the Muslims go to Kaaba, to Mecca, to the Kaaba, they also go there for Allah, you see. So you put those two words together and you get Kaaba Allah, Kabbalah. So when you have a festival or a carnival, what you're doing is you're acknowledging Saturn. Now Saturn rules. I think tomorrow is the first day of Pisces, so today would be the last day of Saturn's rule. And that's who Baal is. It's Saturn. Because once upon a time, Saturn had a much more glorious position in the solar system. Saturn was, it was the central sun of the solar system, around about 15,000 years ago. And it has now been taken over by the new sun, which is now the central sun. And Saturn has been displaced to a much remoter, colder place in the solar system. And this has only been in recent times. We're talking about 15,000 years that this has happened. Saturn is still a sun. He's still considered to be a sun, a dark sun now, because he's turned into, it's a planet. It's not luminous anymore. It doesn't have its own light, but it used to have its own light.
Santos, so
these festivals are for Saturn.
So, there was, in your research, there was no entity or no god from the stars or anyone that by that name, Baal. It was just, I mean, because there's a city, it was city in the ancient books and in the Sumerian tablets there that they mention the god Baal. So you're saying there was no entity or no god or physical being or an extra or an ET that was called Baal?
No, certainly not. If there were extraterrestrials that came down and had names such as Osiris, Hercules, and all of that, if they did do that, that's quite possible, because we still do that. My name Santos means saint. It means the sun. So I'm named after the sun. My name in other languages means Hercules, Jesus. It means the Savior, Santos. So we're still doing that. We're still, even today. Johnny, what does Johnny mean? Johnny means the sun in the heavens, the glowing orb of light. That's what John means. John, in fact, is the most known name for the sun probably in history. So, and you know, and it also means Jesus. Most male names mean the sun or one of the other of the planets. As I have explained in my videos, those 7 always turn up. It is always those 7. But primarily, this festival is in honor of Saturn and the sun, because they are both El or Al or Allah. And these are the precious days when the sun goes through Aquarius and then into Pisces, that the lengthening of the sun's days begin, and as above, so below. This is why good Catholics eat fish when they go through the sign of Pisces during the festival of Lent. Then eventually, when the sun reaches the 21st of March, which is only a month away now, an amazing time in history. This will be the last crossing of the Lamb. This will be the last Pisces in the sign of Pisces. Next year, Pisces will be in Aquarius. This is the very... Enjoy this Piscean season, people, this month ahead of us, because it's the last Pisces in Pisces. When it returns next year, in February next year, it'll be in Aquarius. So it'll be a totally new world order. That's the new order of the ages that has been prophesied for thousands of years.
Which has nothing to do, Santos, with the new world order that we've been hearing about, that, you know, the elite taking over and creating a one world government, one monetary system, one army. It has nothing to do with that. Is that what you're saying?
No, nothing from our perspective. From their perspective, it has everything to do with the order of the ages, because they've dubbed it the New World Order. You see, very tricky. It's different wording, but it's not the same as the prophecies. The prophecies have always said, hey, when the sun goes through a new sign, there's a new order of the ages, because we're going to hand over from Pisces, which is ruled by Zeus or Jupiter, and Zeus is Jesus. That's why the Christian age has been the Piscean age, because Jesus rules Pisces. And Zeus has to hand over the kingdom back to Saturn in Aquarius. When Aquarius starts next year, Saturn gets to return, you see. So when you know the cosmology above, you know what's going on down below. And that will be the new order of the ages. Whereas the other people who think they're ushering in the Saturnian age, the Zionists, that's why they have the Star of David, because that's the star of Saturn. And what they think they are the New World Order. They're going to bring it about, and it's going to be their New World Order. Well, they've got something else coming.
Very interesting.
Big surprise.
Well, I asked you that because Carnaval, right, in Spanish, carne is meat, right? So so carne para Baal. So it's almost like we sacrifice meat for Baal. As we know, in the ancient days, there was a lot of human sacrifice, right? And obviously the good Catholics, as you call them, they abstain from eating meat on one day. So it's almost like it's a sacrifice. It's a ritual to sacrifice themselves not to eat meat one day on Fridays, basically, right? So I read somewhere that there was a sacrifice, a physical sacrifice where they fed meat. I don't know if they did it as a symbolism, or they actually fed it to someone, or they sacrificed somebody and they offered meat, carne para Baal, carne for Baal. Do you know anything about this? Because it's interesting that the Catholic Church sort of like allows this, right? I mean, this is a time of partying, running on the streets. Everyone is drunk. They're throwing water. Which makes sense with what you're saying. But it's basically, you know, Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I'm sure it's the same way in Australia. It's a big just party time, you know. And this is kind of like overlooked by the Catholic Church. It's okay because it's getting ready to go into, eventually into Easter, right? But then you have the what do you call the 40 days before Easter that the Catholics celebrate? I forget.
Lent.
So, you know, and then comes Ash Wednesday, right? Ash Wednesday, which they put these ashes on you, which no one questions. What are these ashes? Where do they get from? Ashes comes from something dead, right? And they bless you, and they put this dead ashes in your third eye, where your pineal gland is. So I mean, you're looking at all these things. It's a very evil. It looks like a very evil. What would I call it? An evil ritual to continue feeding themselves from our energy. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. That's why you just pointed out clearly, very clearly, carne, meat, and Baal is Baal. Just look at the word cannibal. Canna is an ancient Chaldean word for priest, and Baal is Baal. So the priests of Baal used to eat human flesh in their sacrifices. So cannibal comes from carnival. It's the same word. Carnevale, cannibale in Italian. Carnevale, cannibale. Same word. And so these were the people that taught these priests of Baal, these inversive priests, because their religion is inversive. It's always in the reverse. You see, when they put those ashes on your forehead on Ash Wednesday, they actually, with their thumb, and they do a cross, they are actually cancelling out your pineal gland. They should be actually giving energy to your pineal gland, and they put that little dirt, that little bit of Gaia, Mother Earth, on your forehead to activate it, you see. But what they do is they do a ritual that is the opposite. They pretend to do the true rituals, but they always do the opposite. They never do the true rituals, because that would empower you. So that's what they're doing. They are eating the body of Baal. This is a festival, or a carnival to Baal, because Baal now is over. Saturn ruled Aquarius and Capricorn. His 2 months, they're gone, you see. So you eat his body. He's dead now. And these are the festivals that we have. It's all about the cycles of nature and the planets and the orbs above. As above, so below. And I've proven that now beyond a doubt. I've called the churches out. It's time to give up the fiction. It's time to just give it up. Like when your children are 12 years old or a certain age, you give up the lie of Santa Claus and you tell them, you know, he doesn't really live. It's a philosophically true story. It's not historically true. And so we need to do that now. We need to take the truth and deliver it to one and all as it should be, and just to forever silence the pathetic fictions that have destroyed the peace on this planet for 2,000 years.
Well, during these times, holidays, whatever you want to call them, I kind of keep myself away from as much from the craziness, because I don't know, you get that sense of not feeling good around so many people when their frame of mind is stuck on this somewhat, so they think, celebration. But this is going on all through South America and Central America, in the United States and in Mardi Gras. But what is happening? Like they're obviously, you mentioned something very interesting. They're doing the reverse. So what are they doing with all this energy that people are throwing out? Not celebrating something that they're not even aware of. So, but what is happening at the energetic level, Santos?
Well, if you're doing something unconsciously, you're proving virtually to yourself and to your maker and to humanity and everyone, the universe, that you are unconscious. So that's why these places, you're avoiding them, because the people that practice these things, are unconscious. You see, so if you knew why you were going to the Carnival, you would be conscious about it, and so would everybody else. If they were taught the true reason why they put the ashes on the head, and why you're celebrating the days of Lent, etc., it would be so easy to be conscious then. People would know the true motive, the true reason behind the festival, and they would be able to put the right spirit into it.
Well, I was talking to, maybe you can clarify this. I was talking to someone, and I'm sure that there's a guy in Australia, I believe. I don't remember his name offhand, but there's a guy in Australia that says he's Jesus. Well, there's a few Jesus all over the place, right? There's another guy in the States, his name is Jose Luis de Jesus Miranda, who says in 137 or 40 days he's going to transform, and he's going to become, immortal. And disaster is going to come about in about 40 days, which is probably around April, right? What is going on? What will be going on astrologically, or as you say, as above, so below? What's going on in the month of April? Or what will be going on in the month of April?
Quite a bit. April is the month of Aries, and that is originally the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is the beginning, and it's in the head, the Lamb of God. That's the sheep, or the ram. You see, and then Taurus is here in the bottom part of the head, and then the two twins Gemini are the two arms. And then Cancer here is the chest, Leo is the heart, and you go all the way down, and the zodiac, or the ecliptic of the sun, starting at Aries and finishing with Pisces, the two fish in the feet, that is where the sun travels. It travels straight through the body, straight through the acupuncture lines. That line is like a ley line. It goes straight through your body, down the spine. And the 7 cities that are in Asia, they are the 7 chakras that run along the spine. So as the sun goes through the zodiac from Aries through Pisces, it actually goes through your body, as above, so below. So it energizes those centers. Once we go into Aries next month on the 21st of March and then April, a whole new year will begin. And in the true cycle of the year, the year begins on the 21st of March. So in the past, on the 21st of March, many wars have begun. Like last year, the Libyan War began on the 21st, I think it was the 19th of March. It always happens on the eve of the equinox, right? In 2003, George Bush went into Iraq, on the 20th of March. The Bosnian War in 91, I think, ended on the 20th of March. And the first Gulf War also, no, I think that war ended on the 21st of March, but the Bosnian War began on the 21st of March. So you see all these wars because March is the martial one. If you want a blessing from up above to start a war, you got to do that in Aries, because Aries is fire. It will support your energies, you see. So look out for that. I mean, they're probably going to try and start something with Iran. And of course, that coincides with Purim, the Jewish festival, which has to do with vengeance, you see. So they'll probably do something like that. And if they do, it'll be the final straw, because the rest of the world is had enough of this Zionist, Vatican, elite, monotheistic cabal. And look at the word cabal too, by the way. Remember I said Kabbalah, don't you? Yeah, cabal. They are a monopoly. Cabal, monopoly, same word. Monopoly is also related to monotheism, money, monarchies, all the mon words. The world's had enough of them. Consciousness now has arrived whereby we don't have to do commerce. We don't need a world of commerce anymore. We don't have to buy things and own things. We can use things and share things. You know, I don't own this house, but I use it. I don't own this computer, but I use it. And if everybody's got use of stuff, we don't have to own anything. Why would you want to own molecules that are just being consumed by the elements anyway? It's all chasing after the wind. We're here for the ride. Everything you see that's in the physical world is just atoms in motion. You can't own them. And so we have to wake up to this and learn this and live in such a way.
You know, now that you mentioned the Vatican, I was reading something very interesting and I wanted to share with you guys. I have the slides here, but if I put the slides up, I'm going to lose the audio. So I'm just going to read this to you real quick, Santos. And then I wanted to hear your take on this. Let's just say I had this conversation with this good Catholic boy the other day. Well, not a boy, a man. And a woman, as a matter of fact. And I was telling them, I says, look, you know, if the Vatican was really good, they would, you know, do a lot of, you know, they would help out humanity. You know, they have a lot of money. And they were like, oh yeah, you know, they do a lot of good for humanity. It's just that, you know, a few priests here and there, they ruin, you know, they taint the name, but overall they've done a lot of good for humanity. So I found this information. I wanted to share this with you, and then I sent them this information as well. Since the Roman Catholic Church has 60,350 metric tons of gold that we know. Okay, so 60,350 metric tons of gold. That's how they measure the gold, right? So if we break it down to 1 metric ton of gold, that equals to 32,151 ounces of gold. So you get an idea, right? So 1 ounce of gold is about $1,700 in the market today, right? So if you take the 32,152 ounces and you multiply that times the value of 1,700 for the price of 1 ounce, that gives us $54,656,700, which is what's worth just 1 metric ton of gold. Okay, so if the Catholic Church would donate just half of their vast fortune, so they have 60,000 metric tons, if they would just donate half, 30 metric tons of gold, and they would still keep half. That 30,000 metric tons of gold would equal to 1,265,922,500. That's a lot of money, right? So in 2011, last year, the annual budget for Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, Argentina, Uruguay was $691 billion. Okay? 622,688 to be exact. So if you take that amount keep you follow me. This just if they were to donate half of their vast wealth, 30 metric tons of gold, and you multiply that, which is 691 million, 600 and I'm sorry, 600 and hold on. That's the annual budget for all these countries. 691 billion, 622 million, 688,000. If you were to take that and multiply by 2, okay, that would give $1 trillion, 383 billion, 245 million. That would mean that all of South America could be financed for 2 years, okay, if they were to donate this money. And there would still be $266 million left, so they can, give to the rest of the world and help out. And I wonder, and I share this with to these people, what do you think? How would, let's just say, Ecuador would be if the Catholic Church said, we're going to donate your annual budget for 2 years? That means that all the money that you collect in taxes in Ecuador and all the revenues that you make, the state, that's all pure profit. What would you think would happen to Ecuador and to all of Latin Americans if they were financed for 2 years? And I told her this, and they were just, they didn't know how to answer. I broke this down in actual figures. And that's the amount that we know, that they have 60,000 350 metric tons of gold. They probably have more, but we can't. This is what we know. So I asked her, so what are they doing to help humanity? You go to anywhere and you got to pay to be baptized, to be first communion, your wedding, even the day you die, you're still paying the Catholic Church. You go to get any Catholic school and you're paying, they're the most expensive ones. So how are they helping the humanity? What are they doing? If they wanted to help, they could donate half of their gold. But why is it, and this leads into my next question, because I mentioned this to you last time, and I wanted to touch a little bit on the ET issue, right? Because there's a lot of books, especially Zachariah Sitchin, who talks about, the Anunnaki came here looking for gold. So what is this obsession with gold? And who said that gold is valuable? So I wanted to get your take on that, Santos, on why is it that they're hoarding so much gold, the Vatican?
Well, gold is stable. It's a stable element, and it's not so radioactive, you see, as other metals. So that's why it's precious, and it has other properties. Alchemically, it has a lot of spiritual properties. It's related to the sun and the sun's consciousness. So it has the same vibration. You see, everything vibrates according to, seven sections of the spectrum that relates to our octave of physical life. You see, we live in this octave whereby the 7 planets of the solar system are actually controlling the 7 energies which cause things to appear. You see, so gold turns up and other metals, there are many other metals that correspond to the vibration of gold. In astrology and in the holy science, everything has to relate to one of the 7, you see. So this is one of the reasons why. Also, they can extract, I believe they were doing monatomic gold by extracting, they've found what do they call those places where they extract, where they do metallurgy and stuff like that? Anyway, on the Sinai Peninsula, they've discovered that up there in the mountains they were making monatomic gold, you see, and monatomic gold is good for meditation. It's good for the consciousness. So gold is related to that. But what was your other question?
Well, the question that I wanted to that I asked you last week is that where did we get this information from, and then that led into the question of what is your take on the Anunnaki, on the ETs, because we hear a lot about this, and and some things to me sound a little crazy, but I'm also aware that there's a lot of evidence on our Earth that we have had some visitors here. I mean, in this vast galaxies that exist, it can't be that we're the only ones that are so privileged to exist in this planet, and there's no other life. So I wanted to, because I don't hear you talking much about this, and I was curious to know, how does that ET phenomena, or the ancient gods as they will call them, fit into the stars,
Well, we've had visitations from extraterrestrials all the time, and some of those were good and some of those were bad. Just like mankind is divided between what you'd call good people, and bad people. Everywhere where the universe is populated, there is good and there is undeveloped good. And so there will be, from time to time, visitors that come along and help us, if you like. Now, some of them do give help, but some of them don't. Some of them actually help themselves. And like the Vatican's a good example. They come along and they say, "Oh, we're Christian, and we want to help you. We are here to help mankind." They wouldn't say otherwise. They wouldn't tell you the truth that they're here to actually help themselves, which the evidence proves. But they use this, and all the religions do. This is how they get people, how they really trick people to get into their organizations, by claiming to help them, just like the government does. I mean, the government is extending to us the registration papers for birth certificate, because they tell us that we need to be a citizen, because then we can get the benefits. We'll get the protection from the government that we need, and etc. But it turns out that the government, along with the religions, as well as the religions, have been taken for themselves, and that's provable. And I've done that with my video presentations. I've proven that.
But the issue of the ETs, why is it that we can't see any of them? That's the I guess the question that most people would say. Well, yeah, I'm sure that there's something out there, but if there was any ETs, why can't we see them? Or why haven't we seen them? Or why is it that we always see these these discs that look like spaceships, but they always seem they always seem the same. Don't they have imagination in designing different aircrafts? I was in Argentina in 2009, and I went with this crazy woman to see some ETs up to this mountain, right? So it was a group of us, about 10 of us, 15 of us, and we went up to this mountain, and supposedly she was a contactee, and she was going to call, and we were going to see the ships right in front of us. So we went up this deserted mountain, and it was pretty high mountain, and she began to do these chants and singing, and the only thing that I saw were just these little flashes of light, but they were very far away. That could have been the road, cars from the lights of a car, because they started to appear once it got a little dark. We went up like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess it was like 6 o'clock. It was starting to get dark already, but I didn't see anything. There was no ships. There was just some lights. I could say, well, there were some lights, but they were very, very far away. So the question is, if we've had visitations, why haven't we seen anything? Or the average folk hasn't seen anything?
Yeah, look, everybody's reality is different, everybody's awakening is different. And everybody's coming to the apex of their life experience in different ways. Many people will not see them, whereas others do. Now, whether it's craft or visions that they see from other dimensions, or whether it's from this dimension or from the Earth or from government psyops operations, I don't know. But I know that there are good truthers out there who are teaching and showing that they indeed have seen craft, they've worked with these craft, government, ex-government people, ex-black psyops operations guys. You've got even people who just come up out of the blue and post their stories on YouTube about what they've seen, and so it's a phenomenon that's going on. I mean, it's not affecting all of us. I haven't seen anything. Every time I look up, I see shooting stars. I see hundreds of them.
Okay, but where does this information that you are sharing with us, with all the signs and the astrological movements of the stars, who gave us that information? I mean, how do we know this? I mean, obviously you researched, but someone else researched, and you know, I think I asked you this last time, but in your research, where does this fit in? I mean, where did this information come from?
Well, according to all the occultists, the Hermetic occultists, they believe that we were visited by the gods. They call it a visit by the gods. Now, whether that is poetic language of the fact that we were the gods in the Golden Age and knew much more than we know, or whether it was an actual physical visitation, that's how it's called. It's called a visit by extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials. So there was some intervention there, you could say, or there was some outside help, because we were helped. In my belief, and Manly P. Hall tends to agree with this, the gods were we ourselves, you know, in a higher state of consciousness. We knew all those things, and they were the fruits of our knowledge and labor. The pyramids are obviously the fruits of someone's conscious labor, and those someones, whether they were just this wave of the human race that we are in now, or whether it was extraterrestrials, the fact that they are there proves that consciousness produced those monuments, the likes of which we can't, you know, replicate with today's science. So it tells us quite a bit, doesn't it?
All right, Santos, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want you to give us your take on the Sumerian tablets. Was there any astrological information in those artifacts that were found in what's Iraq now? We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of Quantum Leap Television. We'll be back.
Say, can there be living life is fun, and we just begun.
Okay, and we're back to the Truth Hour. My name is Johnny Guzman, and we're here with Santos Bonacci from Australia. And okay, Santos. So, wanted to ask you what going to the Sumerian tablets that they found, and who Zachariah Sitchin is probably, I'm sure, I know that there's a lot of the people who have translated those tablets, but Zachariah Sitchin is probably one of the most famous ones. But within those tablets, was there information pertaining to the stars? I know there's one particular one where they shows that there are 12 planets, which include what he calls Nibiru, in all the planets, and the sun and the moon. Right? You often refer to only 5 planets because they are the ones that were visible to the human eye. But what do you know about this from these Sumerian tablets?
Yes, well, look, since the days of Henry Layard, who went down there in the 18th, 19th century to uncover some of these Assyrian and Babylonian cities, they've been finding cuneiform tablets. They've been finding millions of them. And what they find in these tablets is pure science. It just talks about astronomy, astrology, and all of the sciences. And they're finding this more and more. This is why when they come across finds, you'll find that there's all of a sudden there's a lot of, you could say, authoritative governmental interest, and they come around to see what has been found, and if it doesn't sort of agree with their consensus lie of history, they will shut down that site. Now, there's a lot of archaeologists who have seen this with their own eyes. Jonathan Gray from New Zealand, he's one of them. Guys like Graham Hancock and Robert Baal, they've seen a lot of the shenanigans that go on when sites have been uncovered that have what they call OOP parts in them. Parts that just don't fit in, like the Antikythera mechanism, the Baghdad battery, all of these things, the Saqqara birds, all of these things, they just can't explain them. They found gold, 1,000-year-old gold jet models in Colombia from pre-Columbian days. Now, the wings on the gold jets are pointing downwards, I think it is, to denote supersonic speeds. So what were the Colombians doing 1,000 years ago with little gold models, one-inch gold models of supersonic flying machines? You can't explain. Look, the things that have been found, Johnny, in these archaeological sites sprawled all over the planet show and indicate that there were many, many, many multiple fantastic and amazing civilizations in the past. This is not the first one. This is not the only one. And this is what the Sumerian tablets point to. They point to a very, very ancient culture where people used powers that they had that we do not have any longer. You see?
But this is what you're calling with it was during with the age of the golden age, because maybe it wasn't, maybe we didn't receive any influence from the gods or any ETs. It's just that we were at a higher state of consciousness. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yep.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if what you're saying is true, because maybe we were in a higher state of consciousness, and we were able to produce more things and read things that today like the stars, or in the way this whole mechanism works, as above and so is below, like you say. But my gut feeling tells me that we did had visitors here, and that somehow these visitors influenced somehow our way of understanding things, right? And maybe they weren't too good, and maybe there were some that were good, and maybe they weren't others that weren't good, as like the story of Enki and Lil. One is good, one wants to help humanity, the other one wants to destroy humanity, the other one wants to enslave humanity. And then we look at the whole process of evolution from those periods, and we see that everything is just gotten worse and worse and worse, and we've become more enslaved, and more hungry and more poverty. So what would be the astrological comparison, or what planets are Enlil and Enki?
Yeah. Sorry, I think you just broke up a little bit there. It was difficult to.
Yeah, I was asking you. I wanted to ask you that in Sakurai Sitchin's books, he talks about Enlil and Enki, right? The two brothers of the great god that others in the Greeks will call him Zeus, right?
Yeah.
And one is good. Enki supposedly is the guy who wants to help out humanity, gives out the information that it's hidden information from the gods, but he shares with humanity. But yet Enlil is the one who wants to punish humanity, who wants to enslave and sees humanity as a lesser being. So how are these two characters, or who are these two characters in according to what you're saying in the stars or in the planets? Who do they represent?
They correspond to Mercury and Saturn. Mercury is the messenger of the god who wants to help mankind. The Egyptians call him Thoth. The Greeks call him Hermes. That's the Hermetic science. It comes from Enki, that particular one. And because Mercury is near to the sun, Saturn is further away, you see. So, and Saturn is the one that wants to, is the one that oppresses, because it's so easy to use Enlil's or Baal. Remember Carnival, it's the same L that turns up in Enlil. And it's always to do with these Elohim. And Saturn is the naughty boy. He's always the naughty boy. Saturn is the one to watch out for. Mercury, on the other hand, he wants to help mankind, and that's Hermetic. That's Hermes. And that's the Word of God, you see. So when you hear Jesus speaking in the Gospels, you can rest assured that's Hermes. It's no other than Hermes. Because all of that mythological wisdom is Hermetic. It all is. Buddha is another word for Hermes. It's the Hermes of the East. So the wise one that speaks is the Word of God, which is the Logos, which is always Hermes. He's the one that wants to help mankind, you see. But Saturn, his energy has always been harvested for evil on this planet in the last 15,000 years at least, since Saturn fell from his original place. Now, if you really want to, learn about Saturn and the position that Saturn used to hold as the central sun of the solar system, have a look at these scientists. These are thunderbolts.org or Thunderbolts Project. Wal Thornhill and David Talbot and Don Scott, these guys remembering the end of the world and symbols of an alien sky. Here you'll see the story about Saturn. I mean, there are plenty.
Santos, can you say that? Can you say that name again of that book, please? Can you say it again?
Yes, I will. The Thunderbolts Project, and symbols of an alien sky. Symbols of an alien sky. You can see these videos on the internet. This is a group of guys at Thunderbolts Project that are mixing the mythologies, just as I am, with state-of-the-art science, and they're coming up with a structure or a sort of a matrix to work with of how the solar system and the ancient history of our solar system really works. It's all in the mythologies. They are not stories that deal with nothing. They are stories that deal with science, as I have proved.
Santos, what was the name of that book? Remembering the ending of what? The first book.
Remembering. It's a DVD, by the way. It's not a book. Remembering the End of the World. And you see this picture here. That picture there. You see that picture? All right. I'll try and take the glare away from it. That picture is the sun, Saturn. That's exactly how it is. And what's in front of it is Mars, and then that glowing orb behind is Saturn, and then behind is Venus, and then behind that is Saturn. That's how the ancients saw the skies. Now they prove it. They've got a lot of evidence on that video. It's really worth a watch.
Good. Santos, but so there is no life as we would know life like us in Saturn, in these planets?
Oh yes, there's life everywhere. It's just in a different dimension.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit? Because I could probably understand you, but maybe someone who's not too up to date with these things would say, well, what do you mean dimensions? So it is not as if we were to take a spaceship and land on Saturn, we wouldn't see people like us or other beings that don't look like us.
No, yeah, not with these eyes, but they're there. It's just like we don't see the interdimensionals walking around us, walking through our homes and walking about everywhere on this planet. There's much life on this planet, visible and invisible.
So there is life.
It's teeming with life.
I'm sorry, say that again? You cut off.
It's teeming with life. That's why the Bible talks about creatures that live in the waters, creatures that live on the land, and creatures that live in the air. There's life everywhere. There's billions and billions of species of life that we still haven't discovered in the waters, let alone the invisible forms that are surrounding us. Angels and archangels and gnomes and sylphs and salamanders, elementals, elementaries, psychic shells. There's all sorts of entities all around us. This is why it's very important that we get our theology right in ourselves and we do not mix with the churches, because we will be polluted in our spirit and in our soul, and we will not have all of the information correctly and accurately for ourselves in order to go forward. We need to know about these entities. We need to know how to interact with these entities. We need to know who we are, how divine and of what source we are. Otherwise, we will always allow ourselves to be downtrodden if we don't know the gods that we are.
So once the change comes in this year, 2012, once we go in full force in the age of Aquarius, this change within our consciousness is gonna happen. Now, you said, I believe, I'm not sure if you said it in the Spanish show, but those that are not use the word vibrating at that consciousness and that level. In other words, who are not awakened to that. And that makes perfect sense, because I knew someone who belonged to a cult, and once she realized that it was a cult, and everything was a lie about the whole system, and that the person that they were adoring, was not God on earth, she went through a period of decompensating for a few months where she couldn't talk. She walked around like a zombie, and she felt like she didn't belong here, because her world just collapsed. So is this what we're looking at for those people who won't wake up, Santos?
Yeah, Johnny, the potential for everybody to come to the light is great. Everyone can be saved consciously. Everyone can actually wake up if they've got a brain. It's simple as that. And they're not required to, but if they don't, they need to then continue to incarnate and suffer until such time as they bring forth the goods from within. Once you do that, as Jesus said, some will produce 30-fold, some 60, some 100-fold. And he also said that the ones that have more will be given to them, and the ones who have less, what they have will be taken from them and given to the ones who have more. So you see that there's this justice, there's a just system in the universe whereby the ones who bring forth what is good from within are blessed with more blessings, whereas the ones who shrink back and don't grow their consciousness like the plant grows with watering and sunlight, those they punish themselves. They punish themselves. They're the ones that are sitting on their hands. So they are the ones that don't have the preparation necessary and required to go into the next part of this journey, which is the apotheosis, the metamorphosis. Like a caterpillar that comes out of a cocoon and grows its wings. Many caterpillars break out, but many don't. They die in their cocoons. And so there's also potential for many, many deaths as time gets nearer toward the end of the cycle.
Okay, very interesting. One last thing before we are almost out of time, Santos. The moon. What's going on with the moon? We hear David Icke talking about it's a control system. We know nothing about the moon. The moon is too big for our planet. Stories that it was dragged in. I'll tell you a quick story. I was talking to a friend who knows how to read the tarot cards, right? So I says, I'm going to ask him a question. Tell me about the moon. And, I never mentioned this to him. I never mentioned anything about the moon. I never said anything to him. Just out of the blue, I said this to him. And he threw the cards and he said, this is interesting. He says, I never thought about this. He says, it looks like it was dragged. I see almost like a tow truck, dragging a car or bringing a car from one point to another. He goes, this is very strange. This is almost as it doesn't belong. But this is all that he said. But we hear so many things about the moon, and yet we know nothing about the moon. So what is your take on that?
Well, I've read the book by what's his name, Christopher Knight. This book here is probably worth a read. Who Built the Moon? And this book, Who Built the Moon, was written by Christopher Knight and Alan Butler. Look, it's definitely worth a read. But they show a lot of evidences, again, from the mythologies and from science, how the moon seems to be put there just at the right place. When an eclipse of the moon happens, it's actually the same size as the sun. And so you wonder, what's going on there? That's pretty good. If if the solar system is thinking and is conscious, well then that explains that, and it is explainable by, you know, natural means too. But I mean, there's a lot more. There's so many things about the moon. It's hollow. You know, when you send missiles to disrupt the surface of the moon, it pings. You see, so it's got a vibration, a pinging vibration, which indicates it's hollow. There's a lot of information. There's also mythologies about the time when the moon did not exist, so it's obvious that it came in, like the sun and like possibly Venus, but most of the planets, or some of the planets of this solar system, are not natural, you see. They're interlopers. They come in like with just like an atom that attracts particles and also eliminates particles, you know, loses particles. So it's the same with solar systems.
Okay. All right, Santos. As always, a great hour of information. Thank you once again for being a part of Quantum Leap Television. We will see you again on Wednesday for our Spanish Conspiraciones, la hora de la verdad. You have yourself a good couple of days until I talk to you on Wednesday. Thank you, Santos.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Okay. That's going to do it for us, folks. Thank you for being here once again. This is Quantum Leap Television, the Truth Hour. Remind you that we are here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Mondays and Thursdays, we do the Truth Hour in English, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we do it in Spanish. Conspiraciones, la hora de la verdad. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for being here with us. We will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock Ecuador time, Eastern time in the United States and in Canada. See you.
Inside. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we